Welcome to the Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson, as usual.
And we have a very special guest with us, a very good friend of ours, a paranormal researcher who goes by the name of Steve Auclair. Steve is a well-rounded researcher who speaks on everything from discarnate hauntings, telepathy, seances, to alien abduction phenomena. He speaks on how anomalistic psychology is sometimes the answer to our paranormal questions. And he's right here live in the studio with us. Welcome, Steve.
Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good.
This has been a long time coming, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steve and I were really good friends. A long time we used to play in bands together. And, sometimes we just drift apart and move, different things. Haven't seen each other. And, we recently got together and came out to my pay respects to my dad at his funeral and support me, and I really appreciate that, you and Herb, and it's been great. And I find out, wow, he's been doing paranormal all along. So like, come on, kid. So you got to come on our show. So here you are. We've got some data to play for people, but we wanted to see how do you get you started. What interested you as a kid? Like, what brought this on?
Well, I was always into the paranormal as a kid. I grew up in Cumberland, and there was a little historic graveyard right next door. So we'd ride our bikes through there. The gravestones were part of our everyday lives. But the older we got, the more we read them, and it was one family plot. So, and we used to do grave rubbings, and then I started reading some literature. But I think by that graveyard, there's one experience I had that really opened my eyes. I remember a friend of mine, his name was Timmy. He slept over my house one time, my parents' house. And my sister, who was friends with the neighbor right next door to that graveyard, they were sleeping out by the graveyard in the camper. So me and my friend Timmy, we says, let's go scare the girls. So we sneak over there. We're in black. We're crawling around and going back and forth. And all of a sudden, we pop out the last corner. And what do we see is this full-body blue apparition on its tippy toes looking in the window at the girls playing in the camper.
Come on.
Oh.
So it turned its head and whooshed right into the graveyard that we rode our bikes through all the time. So I think it was then that my eyes really opened, and I really, really wanted to find out more. I wanted answers myself at a young age. I read voraciously anything I could, any articles I could. So I went to college, and there's Ouija boards and seances.
Sure.
And, but it was all about the paranormal, and the more that I brought it there, the more everybody was really into it, and it caught on. And then when the show Taps came out, I think really it opened everybody's eyes. It was a game changer.
It was, and then for those of us who don't know in our audience, because there's a lot of folks out there that are, actually tune in internationally or different parts of the country. Taps started in Rhode Island, right where we are. Basically, we're in Rhode Island, the biggest little state in the union, and you grew up in Cumberland. Which, by the way, is where Andrea's parents started off. She lived in Cumberland before she moved to the Harrisville, very well-known conjuring house. And I kind of just think this whole area is haunted. I lived in a different part of Manville when I was a little kid, and I had all kinds of crazy haunted experiences as a really young child. Like, I don't know, walking distance from here, around the corner. And I think there's a lot of burial grounds in this area. I don't know how well documented that is, but that was the rumors my parents heard. I think with the river, there's a river that divides Lincoln and Cumberland. The Blackstone River is a mighty river out there, and that maybe contributes to some of the phenomena. I'm not sure.
It could.
Energy.
I'm familiar with Elder Ballou Cemetery over in Cumberland, and that's a haunted location as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This area is old.
So it kind of stuck with you. You had these experiences. You probably wanted to know, what did that mean? And what sort of things did you read growing up?
Oh, articles, books, anything I could.
Like Hans
there
Holzer,
wasn't a whole heck of a lot back then, so you had to dig, and you had to wait, and you had to, even at a young age, it was Scooby Doo and
Hardy Boys.
Yeah, anything.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. It was just then it was Operation Blue Book. then once aliens,
Yeah.
this
Oh, yes.
phenomena comes in, you start studying Roswell, you start looking at all that stuff that got onto the air at that time, because of people's fascination, their new fascination. And, I think it went in every direction after that. It just took its own life.
Yeah, it took its own course, and of course, like you mentioned, ghost hunters are taps, kind of took things to another level for everybody and exposed it to the masses. But it's just interesting that it comes from Rhode Island, of all things.
Absolute Warwick. And, it's interesting. I used to have a job that Jason Hawes used to work for Roto-Rooter, and he'd come in, but we didn't know it at the time. I knew him, but who would have ever known, who would have ever known you'd be doing this?
Right.
Right.
It's like one of those things.
Yeah. It was something I enjoyed as well as a kid. And I see Robert Lindsay Milne out there. And I did want to say in the intro, and I'm sorry I didn't say this. We have a podcast, The Other Side of My Side of the Crystal Ball. Robert Lindsay Milne is on YouTube. And we were interviewed. A podcast came out this week. So if you guys are interested, search YouTube for My Side of the Crystal Ball. And you'll see an interview there. I've also shared it out to our Facebook pages, facebook.com/Bigfoot and the Bunny, as well as facebook.com/Dark Horse Paranormal Productions. You search around there. And we had a great time talking to Robert.
We did. He's so sweet.
Thanks for joining. Hey, we had an awesome time. So I did want to get that out there, the intro, and I forgot. We were just trying to get everything ready. You're the only second guest we've had in the studio. So obviously we've got a different camera angle and trying to move some of the electronics around here and
Just to let you
lights
all
and
know,
stuff and make this work.
I can't stand this angle on me.
I'm
I've been bitching about it.
not digging it either. We got to work on that a little bit, but we're all in there. We're all on camera
Mhm.
and our guest looks good. So there
Yeah,
you go.
look great.
That's what we're here for, the guests and our audience. So
Did you grow up in a haunted house? We always ask our guests this.
No, I didn't. I was afraid of my basement like everybody else, but
Mhm.
no, I don't recall anything paranormal strange happening there. I know some of my friends used to tell me stories about their houses quite often.
Yeah.
And I'd be the one they'd always tell because they knew
That you believed. Open mind.
I had information for them too. Because as a lit student, I mean, that's you just read whatever you're interested in, and you can be really compelled to read a lot of that stuff.
Sure. Some classic ghost stories out there. Like I said, I was a big fan of Hans Holzer and his books when I was growing up. Yankee Ghosts was one I had, and I must have read that thing a bunch of times. They were sort of true to life investigations. We wanted to talk about the anomalistic psychology as well.
Okay.
Get into that and what that is and how that applies to the paranormal.
Well, what it is a movement among psychologists to look at the explanation behind things that go on and try to debunk as much as possible, which is an important part of what we do.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of using the scientific method, looking at, here's some data that we collect. Here's what we think it is. Let's try to recreate it. Let's make sure that it is what we think it is, what we hope it to be. But there's, we always keep an open mind, but we always won't make a determination until the end. And usually it's just, I don't know what it is, but it could be paranormal. And it's not like we go in looking for paranormal phenomenon. We go in to try to explain more than not. I think most of the calls that we got as a research team were to help people that were having problems at their house.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want this.
You were doing mostly residential cases.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them would call, and they were scared, especially people that lived alone. And it was tough for them to call. We had to get to know them. We wanted them to trust us too. We're going into their homes.
Right.
And it's a very invasive thing to go into somebody's home and rig up every room and collect data throughout the night, in the dead of the night. And they've never had that happen. But most of the time, they were really, really interested.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really interested. And we put them as one of the team too, because they wanted to know if they wanted to. There are times that the owners didn't want to be there at all.
Right.
And there was one time when this girl's brother came home and he was angry. He didn't believe in ghosts, and
He didn't have time for
paranormal.
that.
It was late at night, and he wasn't happy. That footage got wasted fast.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
It's funny because we had one really good catch on that, but we could never go back and test it out or look what was there, So we had to let it go.
Yeah. I see you got a friend out here, Aaron Priest, says, we love Auclair, Sparks and Shoot.
Thank you.
What is
Thank
Sparks and Shoot?
you. That's their last names.
Okay. I was reading that and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Robert Lindsay says, just wanted to say hi. He didn't have to respond, but of course we had to
Of course
respond,
we
Robert.
do.
I wanted to
Love
tell
you.
people about the podcast, and we love you. You had a
Yeah,
great
we
time talking to you. So
Love your podcast. So.
Haley Clark says, good evening, Chris, Kristen, and Steve. Hope you're all happy and doing well. I love all things paranormal and spiritual. I'd really love it if you wouldn't mind saying hi if you're seeing my comment. Well, hello, Haley Clark. Jamie Lynn is sharing for us. Thank you. We appreciate the shares. Thank you so much. And if you're on YouTube, please do give us a like and subscribe. YouTube, it'll help us reach more people if you do that, or if you leave a comment. All those things really help. So please do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Allen from the Wizard's Table podcast.
Mr. Ken Allen. Hello.
Ken is a great guy. I have to introduce you to Ken. He's a hot shit. How you doing, Ken? Anyways, getting back to the subject, we got a whole list of different things we can talk on, like ghosts, clairvoyance, telepathy, ESP. I put clairvoyance, telepathy, and ESP kind of in the same category. What's your experience with that?
Well, I do know one of my best friends is a medium, and she has a lot of customers, and people speak very highly of her. She's never done me, only because I'm a little guarded on that and private. But I have seen her say things to people that has broken them down. So obviously, there's a realness there, and I know it for sure.
Is she an evidential medium? I mean, she kind of provides some sort of evidence, things that only that person would know.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, we've had a couple. Robert is a psychic, and he's kind of like a from the hip type psychic. He just reads you, and he's wicked good at that. We've had mediums on that could talk to the spirits around you and that kind of thing. I got a reading from Christopher Brown a few weeks ago. It was fantastic on the air. He was compelled to tell me some information, and he was like scarily good at that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why I stand back from that. I don't, I don't want. There's some things I don't need to know, and I guess some of those things would fall in that category.
Yeah. How do you think it works?
Well, I don't think there are coincidences. I think that our minds are far, far more what we think they are. I think that just the collective psyche of human beings and positive thought and negative thought, these are all energies. They can be harnessed by certain places on the earth. Certain places are good for washing them. Certain places aren't. They're good for accumulating them. I think that, energy as it flows down whatever ley lines, whatever you call
ley
them.
lines,
I mean, it's always there. Sometimes there are.
Sedona is supposed to be one of those places.
I've been to Sedona.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, we
actually,
would love
got
to go.
a story about synchronicity, which I thought was pretty good. You were telling us last night about running into a friend of yours in Arizona, right?
Yeah. When I was there, I had a friend, my roommate Mike, and I'll tell you, this is a true story, and this is where things that change your mind, your perception. So I had gone out there and I looked everywhere for him because I knew he was good in Arizona. I didn't know where, couldn't get him. His parents moved, and he's one of my best friends. And I'm there. I wanted to see him. I know he's there. I tried everything, couldn't find him. So I go out to Arizona, and we're with some friends and driving around, and I'm bummed out. And they say, you know what, Steve, sorry you couldn't find him. Sorry you couldn't find him. And they were looking for a place to go. I go, let's just go here. Let's just go here. And we turn into this place. All right, never been here before. So I turn in. I'm sitting there still, but kind of bummed out. So I go to the bar, I get a drink, and all of a sudden I hear a voice in back of me. What are you doing in Arizona? It was him.
Imagine that.
And you know, the conversation he said was the same conversation. They're going down the street. He says, "What about this place? We've never been there."
Yeah.
So I mean, that's more than coincidence.
Yeah, no, that's like
synchronicity.
yeah, what Jung would call synchronicity, right? He coined that term, and I think it's a good term. Yeah, synchronicity and a manifestation to me seem related in some way. You know, I don't know if it's a lot of people say it's quantum mechanics, you know, and it's happening
Divine
on a particle level.
right? Anything.
Well,
Whatever it was,
it could be.
It worked.
It could be. You know, there are things that are kind of spooky that can happen with atomic particles and the way they behave, and whether they're observed, they can act differently than when they're not observed. And perhaps that is what it is, you know, and it's just the intent.
What about the energy?
You know,
I felt compelled to call him. You know, I think that had to do with it. My state of mind, what I was doing, whatever you'd like to call that, higher, whatever you were saying before about some of those telepathy thoughts. You know, what if? And I'm sure it's a possibility.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I couldn't imagine any other reason going into a giant state and running into somebody that you've been looking for.
Right. Yeah. And Arizona is a big state.
Yeah.
We're talking from Rhode Island. Everything is 15 minutes away. It's a little bigger out there in Arizona.
Sedona, though. Back to Sedona. What a great place.
Yeah. Did you feel like a good energy in the air? Like,
My God, I've never.
My sister's been out there. She's into the stuff. She's a Reiki master, and she loves Sedona. Yeah. Yeah. She's been out
nothing
there.
like I've ever seen. You know, it could be the red rocks. It could be those vortexes that I've read about. I had a book before I went there, read it. The people are fantastic. It's all artist colonies. I mean, it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen by far.
Wow, nice. I would love to go. I've only been to the airport. I saw the red sands coming in, but I had like a short layover and had to get on the next plane. I see Nathaniel J. Gillis out there says, "Hey there, guys. Love and miss you both. Love you back, Nate." And Nate is a good friend of ours. He's a demonologist. He's the only other guy to be in the studio with us.
That's right.
So he's been through this before.
How you doing, Nate?
So did we get it better this time, Nathaniel? I've had to squeeze in a little bit less than the last time when you were here. He's from Ohio. He was up in Rhode Island, and we always definitely hang out when he's in town. So yeah, we're trying to get this thing down so we can have more guests in the studio. We kind of like it. What do you think? It's kind of neat, right?
It's great.
Some good decorations and things going on. It's a whole collection of mysterious artifacts, including the weird can of beer from
last night
that was brewed in Cumberland or something.
Yeah.
Is that Cumberland crime scene that's called?
Yeah, I brought it home last night in my pocketbook. I'm like, it's from Cumberland.
Yeah.
Put it up there.
Yeah, we had some appetizers and one of those Cumberland crime scene beers. Quite good. Quite good. Maybe more than one. At least I did. Shame. So I don't know. I think like you know, our subconsciouses are in some way connected. You know, that you have the collective unconscious out there that they talk about, and maybe that has a life of its own. But I also think we're all kind of connected on some sort of subconscious level, and that's maybe how the telepathy works. Like her and I have like crazy telepathy.
Yeah,
if I just sit there and I'm daydreaming about some obscure topic, she'll start talking about it 5 minutes later. Happens all the time. Get out of my head, you know.
It's always that.
You know, because like the closer you are with someone, and somebody also described it to us. It was it Dr. Kimberly?
Oh, yes.
Talking about laying in each other's energies, and you can get this way with like a partner. You're sleeping together a lot. And you just kind of, you know, I don't mean just doing it. I mean just like sleeping together and having the energies kind of overlapping, right? And I think that helps and contributes to those things.
Kimberly McGeorge.
Yes. Yeah. We liked her. She was a fun person to talk to. You mentioned near-death experiences on here. I've talked to several NDEs. I find them fascinating, what they see when they cross.
Right.
You know, what did you want to talk about on that?
Well, I think it's borderline frightening, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. They all seem to see the same thing. You know, and I've read a lot of doctors' reports about what tunneling is and what it is when the brain shuts down, physiological things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I don't think that explains why your friends are there and your family's there, and you remember them saying, "Not now. It's not time."
Yeah.
And you go back and you still have those memories and you know them true, And I think we're at a point in the world now that a lot of people don't want to believe what is given them. And it's even in investigation. You work really hard to collect data. You work really hard to show your data, to prove things wrong. But in the end, anything you give to anybody else, it's easy for them to say, well, maybe they faked it. And I think it's a no-win situation for a researcher when at the very end, the last line is, well, he probably faked it. So, I always wanted to collect my own data, go over my own data myself, and run my own tests and present that data to the team, but it would be just me, only because it wasn't because I didn't trust them. I wanted to know. I wanted to find it. I wanted answers. I wanted to test them. And yeah, I didn't trust them. They could have missed something.
Well, speaking of data, you did provide me some video footage of an investigation you did, and it appears to be a residential investigation. Did you want to set that up a little bit?
Yeah, this was on Diamond Ave in Attleboro, a small house, little farmhouse, old house. The girl that it was through a friend of ours, she was having trouble because there was something going on in her room. So they called us and we set it up, and we ran some tests, and the only thing we got, it was one strange orb.
Okay.
And it seemed to flip around and follow one of the investigators, and as it caught it. So we ended up going back because we wanted to test what's around there, what could have moved, what could it be, and we tested it, and we looked everywhere, and we couldn't come up with an explanation. But what we did do was we set up a shop again. And she had said, she hadn't said anything to us before, but her grandfather had built the house and he had died in that room, passed away.
Oh, I see.
And it was really near the water too, right near the water, beautiful little cabin. And it was small. You'd think, nothing could be paranormal here, one of those places. So we set up again, and the same thing happened. It looked a little different, and it happened twice to two of the investigators. And the third time was something that I still, my mouth is open on, but I know we recorded it. I caught it, and nobody stamped with it. So my answer is
it's absolutely amazing.
We can show some people the first time and go through the three events if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Chase says, "Hey, Dad, you're doing really good." That's awesome. All right, let's go over to those clips. Now, I'll tell you, I'm not a big orb guy, but your footage is unusual.
Amazing.
Well, this is more of a string orb,
like a dust orb to
piece.
me.
It's not a circle. It's the string of pearls orb, they've called them before.
Okay.
But the third one was something
it's really unusual.
It's very unusual. And honest to God, I was like, I watched that so many times. I'm like, you got to see it. Looks like
it does not look
bag.
like something Pledge would fix,
No, really
but we'll go with the first clip. This was the first one, and you can tell us about it after I play it here.
Oh, that's the third one.
That's the third one. Oh, what do we do? We're going to 1, 3, 2,
2, 1, 3.
Well, actually, let's go back.
Close though.
On our way back.
I'm all out of sorts.
I don't know. Yeah, you can play the first one first. I'll go through that.
That is no dust orb. I'm sorry.
So here's the first one. It's something that just flips around, flips its direction.
Something right there. I mean, it almost looks like
bug either.
Like a bag or a candy wrapper.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously you would know these things, being there. But I'll play it again, and you see it kind of come up real fast in the front, and it disappears.
Flips a loop,
and you see something that might be a bug, like going across.
Right.
It could be. But the thing that comes at the camera and goes down, I'd play it again. I don't know what that is. That because it's kind of large.
That's so weird.
It was something worth going back. That was
absolutely.
So then we go back, and
then we
two more events.
We want to go to this top one here, 470.
Close though.
So at the time, this is all IR, so it wasn't till later that we even noticed this. But I can't tell you what that is.
Yeah, it's big and it's
I-
not moving like an insect.
Right.
No.
And I asked if there was any fans going. The door was open, anything like that, just to see nothing.
We were
Close though.
Stuff
no it.
around.
And a piece
It's-
de resistance. This is the
Right.
one I
Yeah,
like
this
the
is-
most.
This is the third one that happened around 3:00.
Look at that thing. Now, come on. You know, what is that?
And there's a little orb that
Yeah, it goes by
on after
afterwards.
that,
And it's moving in this kind of almost like a saucer, like spinning motion.
anyway, it leaves a shadow too. And I've stopped it at times, and you can almost see things in it when you stop the tape. I mean, you can matrix any face on anywhere. I get it, but
Oh,
it
that
does
one's
cast an
unusual.
IR shadow, which
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Let's show it one more time.
It's wicked cool.
Yeah,
I've never
don't
seen
know.
anything like that before. It's really cool.
it was a good catch.
that is definitely a good catch.
Anne
Uh,
Marie would like to know.
Emery Young, good friend of ours, says, "Do you protect yourself before going somewhere? Go out on an investigation? Do you do any
I
sort of
think-
ritual, or what do you?"
I think it depends what we're walking into. If there's somebody had called and things were going on and they felt hostility,
Mhm.
negativity, we may say a prayer. There's certain prayers, there's always sage, black salt, all that stuff.
Sure, sure. Pale
But for the most part, a lot of our investigations were places that were abandoned out of curiosity, places that we were lucky enough to be involved with
Mhm.
that had stuff go on before. But it was quite a run.
And of course, that would lead to, have you had anything follow you home from one of these investigations?
I mean, it is a danger. And anybody that does this and tells you that it's not, it is a danger.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened to
Absolutely.
them yet.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I've spoken to some people that have done it a lot and they've had more stories than me. But I can tell you this. There was one time, and it was late in the morning. The sun was up, and I had put my equipment bag down, and I just collapsed on the couch because it is a tiring night. And there was a voice out of nowhere, out of the air, and it spoke clear as day, like somebody was standing there, and I wasn't sleeping. And I knew right away that was something
Yeah,
that had come back.
that's almost like a clairaudient
Yeah.
experience. Was it in both ears or just one ear?
Both. It was
Both.
loud as day.
Mm-hmm. Like they were
Like
just
somebody
standing.
was right there in the room.
Yeah, and we've had some different experiences.
I've had some clairaudient things happen to me
Okay.
where it'd be like in one ear kind of thing, and a voice. I was in the hospital once and I was
Yes.
waiting to be seen, and a voice that was like somebody, you could almost feel their face coming up to me. Nobody there in the room, right? I'm all by myself. Just says, "Chris," like right into one ear. What? What is going on with that?
Yeah.
And she's had to experience that more than me. And we've
I
had
get it
some,
once in a
some
while.
mutual experiences as well. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Joshua Dixon says, "I have video and a photo of my brother's orb shortly after his death in mom's house where we grew up. It was more worm-like in the digital picture."
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it was kind of like a worm or something, and it was
Yes.
moving in that video. It's fascinating because I
the
have no
best.
idea
One I've ever seen.
what that is. Barbara McMillan says, "Wow."
I'm glad I didn't see it when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somehow
right.
that missed my
Thank you.
investigators at the table.
Let's see. We got here's something. I don't know if there's a question here. So Amanda Jane Norton says, "Hey guys, as a daughter, got what you guys call a latch on. I kept saying I knew something was there. My daughter thought I was just when things started happening, I felt overshadowed, kept seeing things, black flashes. I've had that black flash experience from an attachment, actually. Still, my daughter thought most of the plot. I got my own place, and things escalated, and we were terrified." And goes on to talk about that. And she's basically talking about an attachment. And again, I would say people say they aren't real, whatever, or don't worry about it. You see that until it actually happens. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's happened to us. And we also found out obsessing on the data was what kind of like brings it home. We went through a phase where we were just like doing this stuff every weekend and thinking about it during the week, and constant thought seemed to bring the presence closer to us. And then we started getting the same kind of EVPs that we're getting on location in our living room, and other spooky things started happening. So yeah, it's definitely a real thing, and I recommend that you do take precautions, whatever they may be.
You know, I think that's going to happen anywhere too. I living room at any time. Being a researcher for so long, an investigator, I think I trained myself to feel. I wouldn't say that I'm psychic or anything. Maybe sensitive,
Mhm.
maybe a trained sensitive, where you know the feeling. You just know it gets heavy, just like an investigation when
That's
something
like being
happens.
an empath.
Right.
Yes.
And that happened to me the other day, and I just clicked on my phone and I got an EVP that was really interesting, absolutely interesting. And that's one of them that I tried to send you guys. I don't know if you could have brought it up.
I couldn't get it on the board. The format was different than what the board was
but it was
having, and
really interesting.
I was trying to
Yes.
format it. So no, we'll have to say that for the next time. Maybe we'll put together a little collection of them, and we'll work on that.
Yeah, I've got others, lots.
You've got a lot of things that we could like have 5 more podcasts. or
Yeah,
more.
let's talk about equipment. Now, you have quite a bit of equipment. Tell us what kind of things you bring out on an investigation.
Well, a lot of handheld stuff, phones. We didn't use phones. We used little walkie-talkies. We'd use digital recorders, a lot of IR stuff, handheld IR stuff, a lot of stationary IR stuff, big cameras. We just set up home base and where it's most quiet. And the investigators would go out and come back, we'd review some stuff, look at some stuff, and
Mhm.
give the room time to heal a little.
That is one of the advantages of investigating at night, and I mean that's the more typical thing. But I don't believe that ghosts only come out at night or
No.
during the witching hour or whatever. I mean, paranormal activity or phenomena occurs
Yeah.
24/7.
Absolutely.
But I think you get a certain amount of quiet at night, especially in like a residential neighborhood. That is definitely valuable. You don't have cars
Absolutely,
going by 5
absolutely.
minutes getting on the recorder and that kind of stuff.
And I think that lends a lot to the peace that it needs to happen in a house where they feel free to do something. As far as my opinion.
And certainly, yeah, electronic voice phenomena can be very quiet, whispery.
Mhm.
I have this kind of hypothesis that they often use your breath and your breathing, and that's why they sound so whispery. Because they'll use things in your environment. We've heard, it sounds weird to say, but like insects and things chirping
we
and
had a
contributing
bird.
to in a bird, contributing to what seemed like a sentence, being strung together.
Yes.
It's almost like a painter's palette. Some of that background noise can be good, but then it can be overwhelming too. I do think they use your breath, however, and that would be why you get so many. Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Uh,
What's going on, Steve? That kind of stuff going on. I've got a comment out here. Vicky says, I did an investigation where a man said her mother raised white doves and she found white feathers a lot since she passed. We got something that looked like that and we thought it was a feather. Okay. She's referring to your video, and to her it looked like a feather, and I think that's really interesting that you've kind of seen that. That probably is spirit communication. If someone's passed on, if you think of them when you see feathers, it would make sense that you would start to see more and more feathers. We've talked about that a lot. I think last week's show we were talking to Lynn Monet. She was talking about hair, right? Her mother had long blonde hair, and she would see the hairs like around her house. It's like big hair, going across the tub.
She went to go buy something in the library, a binder, and the hair was actually, her mom's hair was actually in the binder that she bought. So that's more than a coincidence right there.
Yeah, no, that was a cool story.
Yeah.
She had a lot of fun stories. That's a good episode. You can catch that in archives wherever you're watching us now. Let's see, we talked a little bit about hoaxes. What about deliberate hoaxes?
I think, one of the greatest things about studying the paranormal right now is that there are videos everywhere. I've been looking at a lot of these cryptid videos, which are really, really impressive. And they're in the middle of nowhere. I do understand that CGI's come a long way. Kids can do a lot of things. It could be some kid at some college somewhere doing his final project. There's this creepy thing in the woods, and then up on YouTube. I get it.
Yeah.
There is good CGI, there's bad CGI, and there's misidentifications, and there is the unexplained, truly unexplained. And that's what I think we should look at, that truly unexplained. I think that people let it go. They say, oh, it's got to be a fake. Oh, it's somewhere. And they don't want to be fooled. And I get that.
Right.
You know, I get that. I don't want to be fooled either. No matter how good it looks, how much I love it to be true, because it is great. But, you know, the truth is we don't know unless we catch it ourselves and do our own investigation and go through our own data, which was what appealed to me the most about it, was me being the one that led the group and me being the one that went through every bit of data. And you're right. Obsession is absolutely normal. Normal.
Yeah. I sometimes it's done as like movie promos. That Zozo demon movie had that promo, and they were pushing things on YouTube, and they made it look real, like people were playing these games like a pencil and spinning it. Remember that?
Yeah,
that was like a big thing for
Was
a
it
while, and it
Zozo
turned out it was
or
really just promo for a movie.
Momo or something.
Yeah, Zozo, I think it was.
Zozo.
Momo.
I don't know.
I like Momo better.
Yeah.
The Momo demon. You know, Momo.
It's tough to discern the fakes. It really is.
It can be in today's technology.
But as far as I'm concerned, if you look at numbers, just numbers alone, all these videos from all these countries, from all these things, maybe the one that looks the fake could be the real one. And I guarantee you that they're not all fake, not all misidentifications. You know, it's not all false memories, and it's not all tricks of the hand. There's got to be the millions of them.
Well, if you would have uploaded that to like YouTube and I would have saw that, your video, I would have said fake, fake, fake.
Right.
I would have just scrolled right by it. I'm like, there's no way. But knowing, you know, how you captured it and everything, it's one of the best videos I've ever seen. So
yeah, it's actually really good. Especially that last one where it's kind of worm like in a tube or something. The way it's moving, like a bag wouldn't move that way. Like you can, if you try to make that happen, it would be really difficult to get that right. You know, we talked a little bit about shadow figures. Yeah.
I had an experience with a shadow figure once. I woke up.
This was of the hatted variety too, right?
Yeah. Cowboy hat on. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Then I read about it, and this guy's everywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
I remember. All I remember is this. I remember.
Like Amazon.
Remember waking up, and I remember it was a tough time in my life, and everything was going just crappy, right? So I wake up and I see this guy sitting on my bed. I go, buddy, not now. I got enough on my plate. I don't need this crap now. And I think he just went away. Like, geez, I picked the wrong bastard. I was having a bad day.
Well, see, I think it's interesting. You were having a bad day. Seeing your emotional state.
Yes.
May have been kind of the beacon for a hat.
Maybe.
You know, shadow man to walk in. You know,
he hasn't been back.
Yeah. I do think,
like you said,
people that spend their time negatively in a negative state, they're like it draws like. You know, if you're a negative person, I think you're more likely to encounter a negative entity.
Absolutely.
You know,
they're
rather than a positive one.
Energy vampires, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send us something angelic, you get a hat man. You told him to screw, so.
And he did.
There you go. That is kind of step one, right? When you got a haunting, you tell it to go away.
I had bigger fish to fry.
Didn't have any time for that.
Yeah, no time for no hat.
He had eyes. He would have.
What was his hat like?
It was brimmed and folded up. It was a silhouette of the Marlboro Man.
Yeah, really.
I could tell.
Yeah.
That's
a cowboy hat.
It was the Marlboro Man shadow. Without the cigarette.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. You mentioned dreams on here. What do you think about dreams and dream states? I find them fascinating.
Well, you know, it's funny when it comes to premonition and dreams and reoccurring dreams, which are really impressive. I personally, I don't know if it's just me, but I've built whole neighborhoods out of reoccurring dreams where I know the houses and I know the people and I know things and they may or may not be familiar places that I've been, but it doesn't look the same. And there are several neighborhoods that I find myself in and I know my way around. And it's strange. It's strange as far as what the human mind is capable of. I think we're we're so far from even knowing. I think we're taking things in a technology direction, but soon I think once this technology, we realize that we can lose it real fast. I think our minds will expand. And, you've read a lot of literature, and so have I, about how in the old days, back thousands of years ago, they weren't going for technology. They were using their minds, and things were happening. I mean, they're building they're tearing giant obelisks in Aswan out of the ground that are 150,000 tons.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons. They're big as a mall, and these people are chipping away at them.
Mm-hmm.
There had to be some way they would know that they could get them onto the ground. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot.
Somebody had to go up to that guy. Hey, buddy, we're going to be able to get this out of the ground. Don't worry about it.
Right. And that was our background when we started the show. You could see the Aswan obelisk there in Egypt.
Yeah,
and it's huge. It's enormous. You see all the people sitting on it. I'll take us briefly out of the stream and show our audience.
That out of there with logs.
No.
I mean,
manpower.
How do you move that?
Well, I don't think they would have cut it out unless they had a way.
Yeah.
And they abandoned them, but they had pulled others out. And then there's those places in Mexico.
Pumapunku.
Pumapunku is. I mean, you have things cut in stone, the hardest of stone. That are laser precision that you couldn't even do these days, and they're doing them chisels 3,000 years ago.
So they say,
right? That's fascinating.
There's no way, and science looks the other way and goes, whatever. We're gonna overlook this.
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
Mainstream science.
Then those walls they put together, you can't fit a hair between.
I was just gonna say you can't even put a piece of paper in.
Unbelievable,
right? Can't fit a credit card.
3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for those people again. Well, we got to be fake.
Yeah. Well,
made them yesterday. I know, but we that study it. I mean, I think as a researcher, we have to forget about that crowd because they're just not listening. They don't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get it. They're not passionate about it, and really, it means nothing to them either way. Which is not the case for us. I think that passion drives us. The truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And they don't have a good explanation for that. And you see those structures like that, not just in that area, but other parts of the world as well. It's almost like that technology, was shared or something.
I don't know what it is, but what the heck was I going to say? Joshua Dixon said also there's no way they can do that.
I said exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's simple things like you look at all these hieroglyphs in the base of the pyramids. All those. How are they doing that? Those perfect hieroglyphs carved in the hardest of rocks, granite, solid granite, smoothed out, perfect, not a mistake.
Right.
What are we shooting the sun in with mirrors down there? There are places that you get just like a little to the left.
Exactly.
What's going on in there?
Right. That's mainstream scientists, they don't want to believe that stuff.
Yeah, and they look for soot too on the ceilings. There's no soot. There's no torches.
Yeah.
And being funded, you can't get funded if you believe in. They call it pseudoscience.
That's right. Funding. Plays a big role.
Yeah.
It does, and a lot of times there's religious implications behind that funding as well. If it doesn't seem to follow a Christian path, it may not get funded. Joanne Stewart says, just a thought. I think way back that people were smarter than we can't understand. But greed got in the way, and the world was demolished and started over. I absolutely do believe there were other civilizations. We love the idea of ancient civilizations that we're not just aware of.
Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe is a great example. In Turkey, how old is that supposed to be?
12,600 years old.
12,600. Yeah, right. Which goes back to some sort of extinction event.
Right, which was the Younger Dryas.
Younger Dryas period. People like Graham Hancock talk on that a lot, and well.
Dr. Shock.
Yeah. Better than us, but we're definitely fans of that. And you can go back to like Pangea, where the world looked completely different. Who's to say there weren't civilizations then?
That's true.
And there had to be a different way for them to get energy and it had to be something different. Because you know why? Look, we have mined out every possible piece of energy almost on this planet, on the surface that it's obtainable for us.
Mhm.
If they had the technology that we had and they lost it, that stuff wouldn't be there anymore. So there was a different system they
metals
used
would
for
not
energy.
survive. It's why
The
we
metals
see
wouldn't
those
be.
stone structures.
We've dug them out now; they're gone. But
Right.
the ones that are obtainable within the first, I don't know, a mile of whatever soil or whatever, wherever we dig for it, of rock. But I mean, these metals, precious metals, they would have been pulled out a long time ago, and they are the key to technology.
Mm-hmm.
Key to Silicon Valley. That's what they use. All these. That's why they're so expensive. The silver, the gold, the platinum, all these
Gold,
things.
definitely.
Yeah, gold. Yeah, look at
They
James
would have been way
Webb
gone.
telescope. When it went up, and it's got the gold plating on it. We're using it today in our high tech, and it's part of superconductor manufacture as well. And there you go back to like the Sumerian Anunnaki theories, and they talk about the human race being contrived of being brought about, our DNA changed so that we could become slaves,
right,
to provide gold
the
to these alien giants.
Giants.
Are you familiar with the book All Tomorrows at all? Have you ever read that?
I think I've seen the title, but I don't think I've read it.
Its premise is that it's an older book, and I just was turned on to it a few years ago, and it's about the human race in the next 13 million years.
Mhm.
What will happen? And it's really, really scary, but interesting. And it starts with the colonization of Mars, and here we are,
right, almost
on the cusp of beginning that, and we can't let that go, because honestly, if we start thinking in terms of look at the gas prices, we can't afford to do this, we'll never get there. And
Right.
the human race is way too special to stay on this planet. We have to start looking at colonization.
Yeah.
Not for now, but each baby step will take you there, maybe 100,000 years from now.
No, it's a big thought. It's a big thought. It's one I've been thinking about as well, because when you look at things like The Secret and manifesting, and just the way a lot of society is built now, it's all about the individual. A person's always trying to manifest something for themselves. And this is kind of where like prayer a lot of times gets different. Sometimes I think historically, at least, people would pray for civilizations or societies and that sort of thing, maybe pray for Ukraine, that kind of thing. But I think we're also pretty selfish. We don't think about things in those kind of terms.
Yeah.
As a civilization, where we're going to, what we're moving to, where we're going, what's next for us. I have some comments out here I want to bring up. Joanne Stewart says they never figured out the steel from the saucer crash. Now, I have seen some metals, pieces of metals.
With those hieroglyphs.
Linda Moulton Howe. Yeah,
right. She had the chunks that were from a saucer crash.
Supposedly, Area 51, not Area 51.
Roswell.
Thank you.
Yeah, a little piece of metal, and it was like an extremely thin amount of aluminum, and there were different metals combined in layers
that we could not produce ourselves,
that are not manufactured.
Different isotopes. That exist naturally on Earth.
Unearthly.
What about that Skinwalker Ranch? That is an amazing place.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend a night over there.
Yeah, I would like to check that out.
I'd like to do that. At least a week.
For sure.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Bob Bigelow bought it.
Yeah, and then had the government step in with him.
But, considering who he is, he owns an aerospace company, and I just recently awarded Jeffrey
Mishlove.
Thank you. I just lost words.
You're welcome.
Jeffrey Mishlove, in a fantastic award. I think it was like $500,000 for proof of the afterlife. Consciousness survives the afterlife. And Jeffrey wrote an amazing essay. And speaking of Jeffrey, guest on Jeffrey's show several times is our good friend Gail Heisen, sending giant hugs and love. Hey, Gail, love you back. And you got to check her out. She is, she's something. She's coming back on. We're gonna talk to Gail some more. She's a shaman.
Yes, shaman friend.
Amazing. Let's see what else we got out here. Joshua says they covered it up. They know or don't, but we'll never know about the Roswell. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Gail says yes, it was $500,000. Yeah, right.
Wow.
$500,000. Fantastic entries in there as well. for this contest, and that was held, presented by Bob Bigelow. Did that. So that was the guy who owned Skinwalker up until recently.
4 years, I think he owned it for. I believe that the government came in and started to investigate as well. Nothing is said about it or anything, but then he sold it. So I don't know what they've gotten kind of evidence. We probably will never know.
We won't.
No.
Yeah, he's a character, you know.
So scientists bought it from him.
He built part of the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
He has these I don't want to say contraptions, but they'll fold out and build a room, you know, like they can add on to the space station. It'll fold out. They send it up all folded. It comes up and then boom, there it is. So very fascinating, especially when you think about the idea of colonization of other planets, the moon, Mars. You know, it's very useful technology.
I don't think it would be that hard. I think Elon Musk is really important when he starts talking about this. And you could see it. He's not doing this for money. He's clearly doing it for the race, the human race.
Yeah, it's passionate.
It's true.
It's passionate. It's passion, and the world is full of passion. And the passionate people are the great ones, no doubt about it.
The ones that make the breakthroughs. I agree.
Yeah. The thing is, you have to terraform it. It's going to be a pain in the neck.
Take a long time.
Yes.
But if you think about it, the Earth's atmosphere, it's equal to the skin of an apple. It's not what. 30,000 feet. I mean, it's not impossible, unthinkable, especially that we destroyed this one in no time. If that's really true.
Yep.
You mentioned false memories earlier, and I think it was in reference to the anomalistic psychology.
I think a lot of our data comes from people that report seeing things, and as incredible as they are, I think eyewitness seeing things can wreak havoc on our brains. And I think there are a lot of false memories. You know, they did some really nice experiments with some people that were eyewitnesses, and they would play a game. They'd have somebody run in the room, steal something, take off, and then talk to 6 people, and they get totally different people. And they were absolutely sure 6 different people that came in. So I think false memories are a big part of it, and definitely are. I think anomalies, natural anomalies, I think are a part of it too. And that's why I like anomalistic psychology has its place. It definitely does. And I think it's hand in hand with parapsychology. I think that you need them trying to disprove. But also need them to throw up their hands every once in a while and say, you know what, you win this one. I can't figure this out. And that's not what happens. It's always, okay, it must be a fake. So, I mean, it's like we can't win with them. That's the only comment I would say about them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't write everything off, or the field would never grow. Science would never grow.
That's their job, though.
You know, and eventually we're hoping science catches up with some of the phenomena that we've come to experience that we don't have a rational explanation for. But when you talk about false memories, I'd mentioned to you, it does remind me of a special I saw, and it was about John Mack, a very famous ufologist, Harvard professor, Bud Hopkins, great author. Both used regression hypnosis on patients. And in that regression hypnosis, you could almost lead a person to believe that they were abducted or, sexually molested by
absolutely,
an unearthly being, this sort of thing. They would ask things. I saw some footage, did they touch you, while they're under hypnosis? And then the same person, they would go and put them under hypnosis, have somebody else come in and say things like, do you remember when you were lost at the mall as a child? And it was the brain's always trying to put things together.
Yeah, you're feeding.
I was lost at the mall as a child.
Well, they planted the story. These people were not, and before they were done, they were convinced they had been lost at the mall at, age 10. And this old woman had picked them up in like a plaid dress and all these things. The brain is always trying to put things together. And this is where like pareidoia comes from. Apophenia for like an audio pareidoia, where you start to hear different things that aren't really there, or words could go 2 different ways. We've talked about that on the show. Pareidoia is like a visual thing, like when a person looks at the clouds and see a face. The mind is always trying to put things together. It's thought that occurs for survival reasons. When we're more primitive people,
later fight,
we had to be able to recognize the faces on opposing tribes and that sort of thing, and
or
they were angry.
We've created a world that we know we can manage. And that's why if you're in an investigation and something truly terrifying happens, the brain doesn't register it. It's almost like looking out your window and seeing a T-Rex go by. That happens, and the brain has to find a route to understand that, process it, and make it real. And that's where a lot of these false memories come in. But that's also just the way the brain works, that survival piece.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about science. There are times in science where I think that people should throw their hands up. Like Kirlian photography is an incredible example of that. Here you have this photography that if you cut a leaf in half and you put half the leaf and take a picture of it, you see the other outline of it, like it's clear as day. It happens with amputees. It happens with people with missing limbs. It happens with a lot of things. And these scientists capture it, document it. No explanations, no studying.
Yeah.
It just simply happens. We don't know why, and that is that fallback, as far as the government with all these releasing these UFO pics and admitting that something's out there. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't know what
that may be the
There it
truth.
is.
I doubt it, but that may be the truth. But at least they're admitting it now. And, a lot of people are out there going, wow, first step towards disclosure. First
Exactly.
step,
Yeah.
maybe disclosure is not a good idea until we reach a little higher consciousness.
I'm sure that's what they're waiting for.
And why do some people know and others don't? And those technologies still can be used, harnessed. It's like that. Sometimes you got to see it to believe it. If you were to say there's an atomic bomb out there, we don't use it, but we got a bomb that could destroy a whole country. Yeah, right. No, you don't. Never saw it. Would have saw it by now.
Right. Right.
And it exists. The only reason nobody questions it is because we've seen it. But I bet you there's still some people out there go, never happened.
I'm sure. Of course.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I am not putting down John Mack. I mean, there are people that would crucify me for doing that. His work is fantastic, but the show I was watching did kind of, point things out. Maybe regression hypnosis is not always the best way to gather data, or at least, it can have its questionable moments. But you can't throw, the baby out with the bathwater, because, there's so much to the phenomena and so many similarities, in cases and same similar experiences. Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. There's surveys out there. I've got a book. It's giant over there called Beyond UFOs, which is very fascinating. It's about these surveys thousands of people took on that had said they had been abducted. And there was so many similarities between the abduction phenomena. It wasn't out of a movie. It was just this is what happened. So,
and there may be really
little
authentic regressions too, but it's almost like seeing all these paranormal investigations with all this great data, and next thing you know, you catch one team that's setting up and faking everybody out. I mean, it's a terrible thing for the people that have a passion towards it
and that are getting real data
right
as well. So it makes everybody look bad.
That's right. And I have to imagine it's very difficult to do a TV show. Ghosts do not work on demand.
No,
hauntings don't happen on demand, and
producers are
they don't show themselves to everybody. I think you could have a group of 5 people all looking in the same direction. A full-bodied apparition comes to the wall. Only 2 of them see it.
Right.
So there's something between the person and the phenomena itself that has to connect, for it to actually occur.
So Joshua Dixon asks, do you think hypnosis in certain people creates false memories?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
You can plant if you're good at it. You can plant memories there. I mean, we used to go see one of those hypnotists that'll get you up.
Oh
on
yeah,
stage.
like Frank
Santos.
I saw him. Yeah, I was up on stage.
Obviously, after seeing that's another epiphany for me, where I was like, wow, the human brain can do this.
Right.
Let me get on stage.
No,
I
was saying the same thing. And also Joshua Dixon said, or Jesus in a toast.
Right. That phenomenon. He says, I do believe Betty and Barney, and so do we. We love the Betty and Barney Hill story, as opposed to Betty and Barney Rubble, which is a completely different
saying
story. That Betty and Barney Hill that's a pretty cool alien abduction story.
Yeah, it is.
So Gail also told us the collection of essays is online, and the plan is to publish it in a book and provide it free to healthcare workers, hospitals, and we'll have all the essays that were submitted, not just the winners, I believe. Well, that's really cool. Going back to the Bob Bigelow award that Jeffrey Mishlove got, and it shows fantastic, called Thinking Aloud.
New Thinking Out Loud.
Yeah, New Thinking Aloud. It was Thinking Aloud. Now it's New Thinking Aloud.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just be
very
careful.
worthwhile out there. If you guys like parapsychology, do check that show out.
Just be careful in the beginning. Make sure your TV's down because boy,
that theme song
that
can be a little
theme
loud.
song is like,
Do, do, do,
whoa.
do, do. I'm gonna play that on here. We're gonna have Jeffrey eventually on the show, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna play it for him on that keyboard behind us. Really loud.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, back to dream states. I think a lot of things happen in that hypnagogic state, that state where you're just about to fall asleep.
There is,
You know, a lot of
in
phenomena
between.
reported, including the alien abduction phenomena, including hat men and shadow people. A lot of times that's where people see when they're on a very cusp of sleep, or they have an out-of-body experience altogether.
Abduction.
right. Lucid dreams.
Lucid
Yes.
dreaming is amazing. I've talked about on the show several times, so I won't tell the whole story, but I had a dream within a dream once where I actually astral projected within the dream. I was in the dream was going along, Kristen was in it, people were in it, blah, blah, blah. Astral projected, because I've done it in the past. Within the dream, went into a whole nother arena, and everything was sort of pixelated. Like I was flying down this main road of some town I've never seen before, but all the edges of the building were like slightly pixelated. Came back out of that projection, continued to have that same dream, then woke up normally. It was the most strangest thing, but it made me think about simulation theory. Like, wow, did I just, go down another level of the onion here?
Rabbit hole.
What's going on? Why were things pixelated? I don't know. There's something to it, though.
Yeah.
Things often happen in that state just before, just after sleep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sleep twilight.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Let's see here. Joshua says the Allagash abduction was very intriguing in Maine.
Hmm.
Excellent. I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not either. I don't think I am.
Look into that.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you, Joshua.
Thanks, Joshua.
I think there are so many compelling stories and so much compelling evidence that, I mean, I'm not trying to turn anybody's mind, but it should be looked at. And there are people that are disinterested. They've got better things to do. But for the people like us, we should go on, and we should, the more people these days that can communicate via these social networks and put stuff on, even YouTube. I would like to believe that a lot of that is real, and that, if I had that piece, I'd put it on YouTube. And, obviously we're going to sit here and go, that's all a fake.
Right.
But I think in the back of our minds, we know that it can't all be fakes.
No, it's definitely
If
not all.
somebody catches something incredibly peculiar,
Like you did.
Mhm.
right?
Good Lord.
Indeed. I love that video. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going to play it again. It's short and sweet. Let's go back and see that.
So it's 2, 1, 3.
2,
I
1,
remember
3.
that.
Well, I think it's that third one where it's kind of
Yeah.
two. Like, I want to see that again.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Like, what is that?
If you try to stop it
It's like-
midway, if you can stop it, you can see something.
It's so bizarre.
I don't think I can. I don't have the
No,
plausibility and the strength.
we did, and honestly, there was some details in it that were really, really, especially in the original.
Like what kind of details?
It looked like a face.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I understand what Matrix is saying and looking at things and find that the human mind wants to find a face.
Right, that's the
Right.
paradox.
Familiarity.
Right.
I get it. But it looked like a face.
It looked like a face, just the same. I don't doubt it. I don't
No,
doubt
I
it.
don't
I think after the show, I'm gonna play that, and we'll try to find that face, because it's a compelling little piece of data, and I would find that hard to replicate if you tried.
Absolutely.
And certainly, I think anything that you catch on video that's legit is great. Full bodied apparition is still kind of the holy grail out there
Hmm.
to capture for a paranormal team, individual. A very hard thing to do. EVPs are a lot more common. We do like spirit box stuff. Did I show you my spirit box?
No.
We have a custom made one. Let me show it to
Yeah, let's see it. Custom made.
Sorry
Yes.
about the chair.
you. That's all right. I've got it.
I would have.
Oh, yeah.
KD and KT Stafford.
Yeah, Katie Stafford made this for us. A Supernatural
Oh,
Inc.
it's
And
beautiful.
he's also on a couple different TV shows. He's quite a guy. We had
Yeah.
them on. They're a paranormal couple. They're fantastic. But this thing has all kinds of special features.
We haven't really
We haven't taken
yet.
it out yet, but
Greg Koss keeps asking us,
right.
how's your baby?
Greg and I are the only ones that have the nanocom 2 at this
Mhm.
point. And we have the customized for Dark Horse Paranormal. So, quite a thing. We used.
See if it says anything. Ask it a question.
Who's with us in this room right now? Which one is Bigfoot and which one is the bunny?
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. It has a lot of neat features in it and functions.
Yeah.
I'll show you that more after the show. Joshua says he kept hearing Brooklyn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. He asked, that video is insane. Did anybody see it with the naked eye?
No.
Yeah,
He said
no.
it was
No.
just an
What? And
iHeart.
didn't even find it that night. It was later.
Wow.
Going through stuff, and I don't know why, because I have my investigators always on, at least one of them always watching, but can't find good help these days.
So what's next with you besides investigating with us? Because I know we're all going out at some point.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely got to do an investigation.
Yeah, I've got a couple places that a couple leads that people have gotten in contact with me and said that would you like to? So I'll let you guys know about those.
Yeah. We'd love to.
Like residential?
No, one of
Sure.
them's one of them is that the one that Taps had gone to was that music place. A friend of mine just texted me earlier today, said, you know what, I know someone there. Well, I forget the name of it.
in Rhode Island, or
Yeah, it's supposed to be a haunted conservatory or something.
oh, okay. No, I'm not sure.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm not sure, but I would definitely be interested in that. And we haven't done any residentials together. I've done them in teams
Done
years
one.
ago, but yeah, not so much though. COVID
No.
kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
Those
you
are
know,
hard to do.
It shut it down for us, so we were just getting up and going.
Yeah,
But,
there.
you know, we've done some public investigations.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand the work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we played in bands, and that's the same thing. But this is just even worse. There is just so much equipment you want to lay down, and
Tedious.
so much equipment you want to lay
This
up.
organization.
And then yeah,
And it's getting light out, and I want to go to bed, and
you can't.
Yeah, you can't
You
do
got
that.
to go back and listen to the 30
It's
hours.
yeah, 143 hours of video to watch.
yeah,
So-
it's incredible if you think about it. If you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
all those cameras going,
That's right.
Yeah.
You got 6
and you
cameras
got to
going.
glue yourself to that screen until your
Or,
eyes just don't even
you know,
blink anymore. You put
Yeah.
5Z in it.
8 hours.
That's when
a
you
lot of
start
hours.
seeing things that really aren't there.
What was that? What was that? What was that?
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
remember one time we went back, we tried to figure out what this snapping noise was again and again and again and again. Finally went through, we went back down again. You know what it was? My underwear flipped over and snapped back. It happened again. We're like, that's the noise. I'm like, I'm a fat bastard, is what it is. It's just me. 30 minutes later, just my underwear.
Oh, that's wicked funny. Anne Marie says, I need to find a place when they come up. Yeah, we do. We do. We'd love to go investigating with you, Anne Marie.
You're coming in the 22nd, 23rd, I think you said.
And Joshua says, not for the wary. No, it's not. I've done that. I've spent all kinds of time watching footage, listening back, hours and hours. You know, some of those teams are pretty large, so we try to break it up, but not everybody's doing the work. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you're like,
like I
you
said,
know,
it's
you were
very
running
tedious.
your show, so you just felt like you were compelled to listen to everything anyways to make sure nothing
Right.
was missed, which is like self-abuse in a way.
It is.
Talking
But I mean,
hundreds
if
of
they
hours.
miss that thing at the table, what else are they gonna miss? Get a
Yeah.
full body apparition, just oops, missed
Yeah,
it.
just
It's filed. Go on.
there in the kitchen making a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know? You're watching the data? Yeah, that's the mayonnaise. It is tough, you know. It is tough, especially that camera footage. It's just
Well,
sitting
not
there,
a lot of
you know.
people have that passion and light up from it, you know, and that's what it is. It's intense, and you know, it needs 100% if you're going to do it, because every sense you have has to be open and willing to look around and hear and smell and
And
taste
feel.
and
Yeah.
feel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sure. It takes some dedication, you know, and it is a lot like bands. I think about our show together. I say that all the time. It's like, you know, I don't do bands now. You know, I do the music in the show, but it's you know, limited. You know, it kind of hung up my playing hat for a bit here, and it just became our band, you know, and it's what we do. And it's like that though. You get certain kind of competitive feelings, and you want to see what the other shows are doing and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they're all great people, you know. We end up talking to a lot.
We should have more paranormal conventions, Providence or something like that.
Oh, they have a
Paranormal Fest.
Yeah.
There's a few good ones. We went to MassCon last year. That was fun.
Yeah, we met Andrea Perrin there. She's next to us, and we ended up talking to her, and she ended up on our show, and we're going on hers. So
yeah. Eventually, we'll be on World Awakening.
Yes.
And I need a few more things to talk about. I don't know. What do you think? Think we can talk now? Maybe we should do that.
But what are you talking about?
I don't know. I got to fill 2 hours of talk, you and I guess we could do that.
We can do that.
But we'll do that at some point. There's Rhode Island Paranormal.
I see what you
One.
meant. Okay.
It's Plainville Casino.
Whoa.
And that's a good one. I used to go to those years ago. I used to be in the basement of a church over in Coventry, I think it was. But now it's grown. It's in the casino, and that's quite a good one. We'll go this year. We'll all go.
We'll all go.
We'll all go.
Come on up, Anne-Marie.
I know you're a fan of cryptozoology as well.
Yes.
So maybe we'll close things out with a little bit of cryptid talk. Because we did cryptids. I can't tell you, when I've seen them. But they're out there.
No, I really haven't had a lot of experience personally with them, but some of the videos that I've seen, they're really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Like I say, I mean, with a grain of salt always. I didn't find it.
Right.
But I believe that, collectively, we as people, for lack of better terms, can wish something into existence by just being in fear of it or obsessing over it.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that parts of the human mind and human conscious we haven't gotten to yet. We don't understand. Like this Bigfoot phenomenon. Like there's a lot of these cameras. Granted, I know what everybody say. There's a lot of footprints. There's a lot, but geez, there's a lot of people fooling around like Bigfoot. Then I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, right. So, in fact, there's a good place to go footing.
Yeah,
over here in Tower Hill Road, which I know you're familiar with. In Cumberland.
Yeah, of course.
We've talked about Tower Hill Road, and to some people who have been out footing out there and seen a Sasquatch.
Yeah, the Patterson film's really impressive. Some scientists, they cleaned it up and they looked at bone structures, they looked at fur, they looked at muscle tissue.
Did you know it was a girl?
What's that?
You're talking about the
Patterson film was that one when he walks across the ocean.
Yeah, it's a girl.
The one we all saw as kids. They've remastered it. It's boobs. You can see them.
Oh yeah. Might have had a baby too. Might have had a baby.
Yeah.
Right.
You can see them better now. They remastered the film.
It was really impressive when they did that, and man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's something. If it's a costume, it's one hell of a costume.
Yeah. You'd think one of
the more you look at it, the more.
You think that if there was a lot of them, which they'd have to be, one of them would be a little on the dumber side, walk off a cliff somewhere. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, the dodos or something. What?
So, in your opinion, you would say Bigfoot was interdimensional?
Yeah, I would say that's something that we're not aware of how it works yet, because obviously I think the scientific evidence is there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a bit like aliens, that kind of thing. Like, why don't we find more dead aliens? Does the government get them all?
They do. They do.
Come in and scoop them.
They do.
They put them with the Bigfoots.
The black cars, guys in the suits.
Yeah,
they're all in the basement of the Smithsonian.
With the giants. Don't forget about the giants too.
The giants.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's the government. It's government run. So
it's giant.
I think misinformation is important for the people that are. If there are conspiracies, it's what they live off of.
Oh yes.
And it confuses everybody. That old X-Files adage. It's just there's too many layers to that onion to even go into. It's an enigma.
Yes.
You peel one layer, you're off into a different direction, and more questions come up than anything else.
You know, that is one of the things people say. They say it can't be a Bigfoot. It's all a crock because, you know, where are the bodies, right? How come we don't see the dead ones? But,
True.
you know, if you look at it in those kind of interdimensional terms, maybe it does vanish. Maybe it goes somewhere else. You know, maybe they're not always here and visible to us.
Or maybe they've evolved. Their strength is making sure that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Maybe
Their
they're
evolutional
a higher
skill.
Right.
consciousness,
Adaptation.
you know.
Right.
Maybe their consciousness is greater than ours. You know, they have abilities that we just don't understand.
Except for the one that
Yeah,
walks off the cliff.
Yeah.
gotta be some
tough-
teenage Bigfoot. You know, I'm going out there to see what those people are doing.
The one that stole the beer out of the back of the
Yeah.
truck, heads off into the woods.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
And Marie Young says dragons. Yes,
Yes,
no,
she loves
there's
her
a
dragons.
lot of dragon lore out there. And, you know, with any kind of folklore, there's a lot of cryptids in folklore, sea serpents, all kinds of things. We've talked to lots of folklore people on the show, and, you know, there's always a little bit of truth, you know, to those things.
Dogman.
Sure.
The
That's
stories
good.
come from somewhere.
I love the Mothman.
Mothman.
Mothman
Yes,
is
That's good
I love
stuff.
The Mothman.
Yeah.
You know, and it's scary. And what is it, Silver Spring Bridge that collapsed?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
I mean,
It
they
did.
were sightings days before that, and
Mhm.
and they think that whatever this cryptid is, it shows up when bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, that was
No,
the
it's
thinking.
an omen, and that's the thinking behind it. Yes,
Yeah, that
but
was
you know,
horrific,
throughout
but-
history, we've had those kind of cryptids.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, and they know they foresee something, whether it's a warning or not. They show up. Maybe because the way things are going to happen, the energy that's left behind after a catastrophe like that is maybe even like consumable to them. Maybe they just, it's a place where they can live, so they know it's going to happen. They can already feel it. It's already there. In many ways, it's already happened. When it happens, you know, it changes the whole energy field.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe it
I
is
can see
food for
that.
them. You know, it's been thought of by dark entities and different things that they feed on people's fear and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
multi-universe theory is
yeah.
really interesting too. However, I don't think we've got it right yet. I think that, you know, it's more of something we don't understand, and you know what? I think we're still throwing rocks at the moon in a lot of ways.
Right. I think there's more to the moon than people think. You know, everybody thinks the moon is dead. And there's nothing going on up there. I think there might be more going on.
It's not
with the
true
moon.
because, you know, just recently, I think NASA had caught some plumes coming off the moon, and they think that it was steam,
Yes.
something from inside.
Yeah.
And they have caught it.
I
Yeah.
did see that. It was like a live science article. So
So that would change the way we look at the moon as a
Right.
dead planet. And you know,
Absolutely.
honestly, we don't even know where the moon comes from.
We
got our
don't know.
theories.
We don't know. We know
It's
that
funny,
the
it's the
soil
same stuff.
is
Yeah.
older than the Earth.
Yes, but
It's got older soil than the Earth. So I mean, you got to think if all right, then it's not from the Earth. When I was a kid, I remember I had a book and it was supposed to be like a science book for kids, and on the cover of it, it showed the moon coming out of the Atlantic Ocean, like it just burst as a piece of Earth into our
Yeah.
orbit, you know, and you know, that's not what happened. It was not part of Earth. We know that. It's a different kind of soil. It's an older soil. It's the only moon in our solar system that has an almost perfect, down to a few inches, circular orbiting pattern. It makes a perfect circle around the Earth. And you look at other orbiting patterns of moons, like some
I
like
don't-
Jupiter, Uranus, which you know used to be Uranus. We call it Uranus now.
exactly the same size as the
They're-
sun,
They're elliptical.
where when during a full eclipse, you can see the corona of the sun. It's
That's right.
exact.
It's perfect.
And the Mayans, these guys all knew this perfectly.
Mhm.
They had it timed to the second. I can't imagine how these people came up with this. And you had a great theory that you were saying the other day.
about being autistic.
Autistic, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there was some people that put it together because of bouts with autism and being under the spectrum.
It possibly built the pyramids, I think.
Yes,
in
that
reference
as
to
well.
I mean, you'd have to be. You'd
And
have to be something.
They're extremely
special.
smart.
Very,
Yeah.
very special.
And be able to just focus on that with an intense focus. Joshua Dixon
Yeah.
asks, "Do you believe in vampires?" Just trying to help with content. Not sure if it's real or if it's just demonic.
Well, I think literature has brought vampires into us, but collectively, again, it's one of those things. If that energy goes there, I mean, who's to say that these things can't be conjured in a way
It's true.
or brought to life? You know, maybe they're not running around Maybe it's not exactly what we think.
Maybe they don't
But
turn into
obviously,
bats.
People can suck the energy out of you. People
Yes.
drain energy.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Lifeblood is energy. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's some fiction in it with fangs and sucking blood, but maybe there's not. There's some real kind of energy vampires out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, there are
that's
psychic
really good.
vampires, right? So that's the
Absolutely.
thing. They kind of absorb your
Sure,
energy.
and I've
And
seen people fall down afterwards, completely drained.
yeah, there you
pass
go.
out
There
after-
you go.
after
There's
people-
vampire communities is a big thing. We've got friends in that community.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's a thing. It may be a power gain from drinking blood. I'm not really sure. Now, there's another thing too. You can have group dreaming. People can enter your dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a proven thing. There are dream groups. People get together and try to dream together. So if you have that ability, you could also be like a darker presence and, push your way into somebody else's dream. It happens. They have the shared experience. So they both wake up. They say, "Oh yeah, this is what happened. That's what we dreamt about." There you go. And that's been proven. So
Josh.
yeah, I would say, vampires in some way, shape, or form are a possibility. Mercy Brown is Rhode Island's
Oh,
most
yeah.
famous vampire,
Sure.
buried in Exeter, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
That's a good story, but we've talked about that on the show before.
Yeah, it's due to consumption, basically.
Consumption junction. What's
Yeah.
your function?
Tuberculosis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she had TB, and there was a vampire panic in the late 1800s, really all through New England,
yeah.
but especially in Rhode Island, where we had these seeming cases of vampirism. Joshua says, "I've seen many NASA feeds cut off once it exposed an alien craft."
We have to.
We've seen some of those same feeds, and it's also funny how NASA changes out the photos. Sometimes people recognize things in the photos that they post online, and they'll see something that's unnatural and comment on it or something, and suddenly the picture's gone.
It's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Look at
vanishes.
it.
They've been doing this for years. For years and years, they would never publish any high-res photography of the moon, getting back to the moon. Something I read about in this book by Ingo Swann. It's very interesting. It does seem like there's a cover up there. So
He wants to try shared dreaming. That's what we were just
Shared
talking
dreaming,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna try that.
yeah, I'm gonna give that a go.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm
We're
good.
gonna go hang out with Bigfoot and get a case of beer and go knock on some trees. with
Mothman.
Yeah.
the Mothman
Tell
will
them
be
to bring
there.
Mothman.
Well, this has been a good time, Steve.
Yes,
and
thank
we
you.
got to do it again. And really, I'm looking forward to getting together with you and more, hanging out and also doing
Thanks.
some
You got a great
paranormal
show. Thank you very much. for having me.
investigating. Oh, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. We've had a blast.
Thank you to everyone out there
Thanks.
listening. Anne Marie, Joshua Dixon. There's so many
Gail
of you.
Hyson, Robert Lindsay Milne,
Nathaniel J. Gillis.
and the Nathaniel J. Gillis.
Aaron, is it Price? Price. Sorry,
Shoot.
Aaron.
Yeah.
And Chase. Chase plays.
Yeah, fantastic. That is so cool to
Yeah.
see. And we'll be back on Saturday with Bigfoot and the Bunny at 4 p.m. Eastern. Our guest this week is Ellie Molina. We'll be talking to her, and we will see you guys then. So have a great night. Happy Thursday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
on.
Steve.